Hi everyone, I'm Doug from DigiPen in Redmond. In this video, we'll learn how to use loops to create rows of enemy clones. Up until recently, Scratch Invaders only had a single bullet. We fixed that a couple of videos ago with the use of cloning. Now we'll fix another problem. The game only has one enemy. We'll solve this with cloning as well. We'll create a group of enemies all at once when the game starts. Different games use different ways of placing enemies for the player to encounter. Some games are made with a level editor, which is a program that allows the designers to place enemies at specific locations in the level. The level editor creates a file that acts as a list of instructions to the game. When the game starts, it reads the instructions and creates the specified enemies at the specified locations. Other games make their enemies come at the player in waves. A wave is a group of enemies that all come after the player at once. Some games have one wave per level, while others make wave after wave attack from different parts of the game screen. Some games use enemy generators to produce their enemies. One generator might make goblins, another might make bats, and so on. As long as the generator is still there, the player has to deal with the creatures it makes. In Scratch Invaders, we'll make just one wave of enemy clones that will be created when the game starts. The easiest way to do this is with a loop. We've used loops before, but so far we've only seen the forever loop. For this task, we'll use the repeat block instead, which lets you pick a number of times for the loop to run. Each time this loop runs, it will create an enemy clone. Running this loop creates a row of enemies. Let's improve Scratch Invaders by making a wave of enemy clones. Load what you've already done in that project, or visit the link in the description below and then click the See Inside button. Begin by selecting the enemy sprite. We're going to be creating a wave of enemies, so let's start by making a function for this. Click the pink My Blocks category on the left, and then click the Make a Block button. Name the new function CreateWave, and click the OK button. The CreateWave block has been added to the block palette, and a Define block has been added for it in the code area. We want to create a wave when the game starts, so we should call this function right after we call Initialize. Find the CreateWave block in the block palette and attach it between the Initialize block and the Forever block. This function is where we'll do our cloning. When we make a clone in Scratch, it's created as a perfect duplicate of the original with the same position, direction, size, and other properties. To make a group of enemy clones all in a row, the trick is to put the original where we want the first enemy to appear, clone it, and then move it to the next position and repeat. The original acts kind of like a rubber stamp. We move it into place and stamp it, and then move on. This means that the first thing that the CreateWave function should do is put the enemy where we want the first clone in the wave to appear. In the game window, drag the enemy sprite to the upper left corner, like this. Anywhere up here is good enough for now. Now click the medium blue Motion category on the left and find the second Go-To block in the block palette. Notice that its X and Y position values are already set to match wherever you put the sprite. Drag the block into the code area and add it to the body of the CreateWave function. Next, we'll create a clone. click the gold Control category and find the Create Clone block. Add it to the body of the CreateWave function and make sure that Myself is selected from its list. After creating the first clone, we want to scoot the enemy over to the position of the next one. This new position will be the same as the old position except for a small horizontal offset. We'll apply this offset with the Change X block. Click the medium blue Motion category and find the Change X block. Add it to the body of the CreateWave function. The number in the value field will determine how far the original will move before it creates the next clone. The number you should use will depend on the size of your enemy sprite. We will use 80, but you should experiment to find something you like. You can click the CreateWave function's Define block to try it out. If you click the Stop button, it will remove any clones that are present. Our goal is that each of the enemies present after the wave has been created is a clone of the original, and that the original stays out of it. It's the same with the bullet. We don't actually shoot the original bullet anymore, we just make clones of it, and they're the ones that move. To do this with the enemies, we should begin by hiding the original. Click the Hide button here, and then remove the Show block from the body of the Initialize function. Don't delete it yet, though. We'll use it in just a moment. Click the gold Control category. Find the When I Start as a Clone block and drag it into the code area. Attach the Show block from before to the When I Start as a Clone block. Click the CreateWave function's Define block to test it again. There's just a bit more we need to do in setting up each clone before we can move on to finishing the CreateWave function. First of all, if you run the game and shoot the enemy clone, you'll find that it no longer disappears when it is hit. The reason for this is that the bullet check function is called inside this forever loop, which is only run by the original enemy and never by the clone. This is the opposite of what we want. To fix this problem, detach the forever block from the CreateWave block and attach it to the bottom of the Show block. Now, if you try the game, you'll see that the enemy hides itself again when it hits a bullet. The other thing we need to do is look again at what we're doing in the HitByBullet function. Right now, it simply hides the enemy, but we can do better than this. Instead, let's get rid of the clone altogether. Remove the Hide block from the body of the HitByBullet function and drop it on the block palette to delete it. Then, find the Delete This Clone block in the block palette and add it to the HitByBullet function. Now, so far, the CreateWave function creates just one clone. To make more, we need to repeat these last two blocks right here. We could right-click the Create Clone block and choose to duplicate it, but we should use a loop instead. Find the Repeat block in the block palette and drag it into the code area. This block runs the code it contains a number of times equal to whatever we put in its value field. So, for example, if we put a 3 in it, it will run the loop 3 times. Drag the Create Clone block away from the Define block and attach it and the Change X block inside the mouth of the Repeat block. Then, add the Repeat block to the body of the CreateWave function. Now click the Define block to try out the function. Let's create some variables to keep track of some of the numbers we've been using. We'll be making and initializing a few of them, so you may wish to rearrange your code stacks so that you have more room in the Initialize function. The first variable we'll make is for the number of clones we want to put in each row of enemies. Click the orange Variables category and then click the Make a Variable button. Type the name enemies per row in the name field. Click the For This Sprite Only option, and then click OK. Find the Set block and add it to the body of the Initialize function. Select Enemies per row from its variable list. In its value field, type the number 5. You can change this later. In the block palette, find the Enemies per row reporter block. Drag and drop it into the value field in the repeat block. Next, let's make a variable for the amount of horizontal space to leave between each enemy in the row. Click the Make a Variable button. Type the name Wave Spacing X in the name field. Click the For This Sprite Only option, and then click OK. Find the Set block and add it to the body of the Initialize function. Select Wave Spacing X from its variable list. In its value field, type whatever you put in the Change X block's value field over here. Find the Wave Spacing X reporter block and drag and drop it into the Change X block's value field. Now we'll make variables to replace these numbers in the GoTo block, which define where we put the first clone in the wave. Click the Make a Variable button. Name the variable Wave Start X. Click the For This Sprite Only option, and then click OK. Click the Make a Variable button again, and name this one Wave Start Y. Click the For This Sprite Only option, and then click OK. Add 2 set blocks to the body of the Initialize function. Select Wave Start X for the first one and Wave Start Y for the second. Look at the GoTo block and copy its numbers into these new set blocks. Put the left number in the Wave Start X block and the right number in the Wave Start Y block. Now find the Wave Start X and Wave Start Y reporter blocks. Drag and drop the X block into the GoTo block's left value field, and drag and drop the Y block into the right value field. You may have noticed that each of the variables we just made was created to replace a number somewhere in our code. We did this because it's bad practice to leave numbers lying around here and there. A number that is typed into a program without context or an explanation is called a magic number. One of the reasons we try to avoid using magic numbers is that it's easy to forget what they are for. You might remember why you chose a number just after typing it, but what about the next day or the next month? You might forget if you come back to your code after a while. And what if you work on a project with someone else? Your code should be easy for everyone to read, including your future self. When you use a variable instead of a magic number, you get the benefit of seeing its name in the code, which can remind you what the number is for. Now our enemy wave is complete. Click the green flag to try it out. There's more we could do, such as making more rows of enemies, or making it so that additional enemies can be created during the course of the game. You should experiment and see what you can do with this new function. Let's recap what we've learned in this video. First, we learned about a few different ways that games place enemies, including level editors, enemy waves, and more. We decided to use a wave of enemy clones in Scratch Invaders, which we can create with the use of a loop. Then we improved Scratch Invaders so that it uses a repeat block to create a row of enemy clones. Next, we updated the way that the enemy clones react to colliding with the bullet so that the hit by bullet function now deletes the clone rather than just hiding it. Finally, we learned about magic numbers, which are numbers that are written in code without proper explanation, and we created a set of variables to replace various magic numbers in the enemy sprite's code. In the next video, we'll give the enemies some firepower of their own.